What if Deku joined Team JPDE? Chapter 24. Double Dates. Monday. Day 71. So, I'm going, David said. Okay. Have fun, Evelyn said. Sure, David said. David then left the room. He was going on that date with Gwen. They are meeting at the markets, Deku said. Excuse me, Evelyn said. Bun, we both know why you're on your feet still, despite it being a Monday evening. At least try and be discreet about it, Deku said. Gwen and Octavia were in the Vale Market, waiting for David to arrive. You sure you can't stay? Gwen asked. Gwen. I'll be looking out for you, but this is your date. Your time in the spotlight. I can only support you from afar, now, Octavia said. I'm afraid I'll screw up, Gwen said. It's perfectly normal. But there's nothing you can do other than your best. Oh, I see your Prince Charming coming this way. That's my cue to leave, Octavia said. Wait. At least, Gwen said. Ta-ta. Be good now, Octavia said. Octavia then left Gwen alone. Hi, Gwen. Good afternoon, David said. Hi, David, Gwen said. Oh, well. You're absolutely terrified. Am I that scary? David asked. What? No. I mean, yes. I mean, I'm terrified, but not of you, Gwen said. What of, then? David asked. Screwing up. Doing something to embarrass the both of us, Gwen said. I figured. Then, what about we start by doing something easy? You can walk, right? David asked. Walk? Gwen asked. Yeah. We can take a walk around Vale and you can tell me a bit about yourself. You can do that, can't you? David asked. Yes. I can do that, Gwen said. Not that far away, Evelyn and Deku were watching them. Will to look at this. She's adorable. Kill me now, Evelyn said. And he feels like a great guy. My oh my, for a choice made on a whim, I seem to have struck true, Octavia said. Hello, Octavia. What are you doing here? Deku asked. Keeping an eye on my teammate. And you're keeping an eye on your boyfriend, Evelyn, I assume? Octavia asked. You could tell? Evelyn asked. Of course. The body language you displayed last time was quite different from the one you had when we first met. Even if it was just a lack of restraint. And I could just tell you were using Ijuku to get out of that situation, Octavia said. I wasn't being, Deku said. If you could tell, why? How dare, Evelyn said. Ara. Now, that's not the right question, Miss Girlfriend. I'm just looking out for my teammate. The real question is why you didn't just tell Gwen he already has a girlfriend, Octavia said. Evelyn's face fell. I feel like you're using this date as a test, of sorts, Octavia asked. Shut up, Evelyn said. Gwen had become more comfortable as her date with David went on. Oh my, she's relaxing and enjoying herself. This is going wonderfully, Octavia said. Why? Are you still here? Evelyn asked. This is nothing short of a miracle, believe me. The only way Gwen has ever been able to relate to men in a normal way is when she's turning them into pincushions, Octavia said. Pin? You call that normal? Evelyn asked. It is quite the norm, for spectacle fighters. Anyway, they seem to be hitting it off splendidly, don't they? Octavia said. Pa. Big deal, we have a great relationship too, Evelyn said. Oh, I don't doubt that for a second. I'm just wondering how much of it is because of your love relationship and how much is instead because of your previously established friendship. Gwen instead seems to be getting along swimmingly despite not knowing each other at all, Octavia said. That doesn't mean anything, Evelyn said. David and Gwen were now laughing together. Okay, no. No, 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 no. That laugh. This is so unfair. That's a kind of smile on her face I haven't seen myself. How does he do it? I'm so jealous, right now, Octavia said. You are one twisted individual, Evelyn said. Should I take this as a compliment, miss pushing my boyfriend in someone else's arms to prove I didn't trick him into a relationship? Octavia asked. You're in. Are you getting some kind of enjoyment out of this? Evelyn asked. Hardly. All I care about is Gwen's happiness. But I guess I couldn't ignore the self-loathing, Octavia said. I don't need to prove anything. I know Evelyn said. Ara. And yet you can't even say it out loud, Octavia said. Shut up, shut up, shut up. You are a boob monster. You and your stupid, adorable teammate, Evelyn said. Let's make one thing unmistakably clear here, Miss Damerot, Octavia said. Octavia then got up close with Evelyn. Fast, Evelyn thought. If I wanted, I could have just broken the two of you up. I still can. Whenever I want. Only reason I haven't is because this isn't about Gwen getting a boyfriend. I want her to grow up as a person. I want her to be able to stand on her 2 feet, to be able to do this again and again, without the need for my help, Octavia said. So David is. What, just a stopgap for you? A stepping stone, Evelyn asked. That's not for me to decide. Nor up to you, since you're too insecure about your relationship to even say the L word. It's only up to them, and there's nothing you can do about it, Octavia said. Seems like they already decided, Deku said. Pardon, Octavia and Evelyn said. 2 of them. And a boyfriend, Gwen asked. Yeah. I still can't believe it myself, David said. Without being on an actual date before then, Gwen asked. Yeah, I know, it was mostly due to a mistake made by Evelyn, David said. Gwen said. Evelyn was aiming for Izuku, but due to a case of intoxication she ended up with me. And then Penny suggested we all date each other to keep everyone happy. And well, we had no real reason to refuse at least trying it, David said. Still. If you've never been a date before, how do you? That's my question, Gwen said. Yeah. I don't really know myself, Gwen. We're taking it one step at a time. All I know is that Penny, Evelyn and Izuku, they're really, really important to me, and well, the relationship just feels right, you know. No one had to say or do things any different from before, there's just more. And I want to continue being that way, David said. I see. Thanks for sharing, David, Gwen said. I don't understand. What happened here, Octavia asked. Seems like Gwen, too, wants to become a better person. And since she didn't feel comfortable at all treating this as a romantic date, she decided to use it to get information from the other, obscure side that are boys. I keep my stud, he keeps his beauties, Gwen just an insider, everyone wins, but you lose, Evelyn said. Interesting, Octavia said. Evelyn said. Evelyn and Octavia stood close to each other, boobs pressing against each other, looking like they were about to fight. Well. Hello there, Evelyn said. Very, very interesting, you, David, Izuku, this Penny I still haven't met, very interesting indeed, Octavia said. Sorry, but I don't think we're quite ready to extend that relationship yet. Also, wouldn't Gwen have precedence? She's kinda starting to grow on me, Evelyn said. Is she now? Yes, definitely interesting. I thought there would be nothing but boring people in a hunter's academy, but you have piqued my interest, Octavia said. I see. And is that a good or bad thing, Evelyn asked. Yes, Octavia said. There was a small moment of silence between them. That's not an answer, Evelyn said. Oh, it is, Octavia said. Deku then slapped Evelyn on her butt. breaking the tension between Evelyn and Octavia. Well, it seems that everything is sorted. Now I do believe you own a key to a VIP room in a club that's perfect for some fun, Deku said. How can I say no to that, Evelyn said. Evelyn then latched onto Deku's arm, and they began to walk to Junior's club. Octavia, Deku said. Yes, Octavia said. Tell Gwen that she shouldn't have one source of information, Deku said. I'll let her know you're interested, Octavia said. Thanks, Deku said. Hey, don't talk about another girl when you're going to be blowing out my back soon, unless it's Penny, Evelyn said. Deku and Evelyn then went to Junior's, leaving Octavia alone. Gwen then met up with her and they went back to Beacon. Tuesday. Day 72. Deku, Penny and Evelyn were in the mess hall eating lunch. David and Jack were held up by something. Deku's scroll then went off. How do people keep getting my number? Is there seriously no security on Vale's network, Deku asked. Deku then answered his scroll. Hello. Who is this, Deku asked. Good morning, Izuku. You should be eating lunch by now, right, Madonna asked. Mrs. Ark, Deku said. That's John's mother, right, Penny asked. Told you I had your scroll number. And please, call me Madonna, Madonna said. I see. But how did you get it, Deku asked. I have a fan who has a friend. Also, Vale's scroll and computer network is apparently pathetically easy to hack into, Madonna said. Of course, it is, Deku said. Anyway. I wanted to talk to you about that business proposal. From up close, of course, Madonna said. A business proposal. So you want to meet with me and David, Deku asked. Exactly. I have already spoken with David and he has agreed to meet me at that quaint cafe near Vale's Market around 5 p.m. Does that work for you, Madonna asked. That's good for me, Deku said. Wonderful. We will be making art, my dear, Madonna said. That was something, Deku said. What did she say, Penny asked. She wants to see me and David about a business proposal. I see, Penny said. I'm coming too, Evelyn said. Okay. But why, Deku asked. To protect David, of course, Evelyn said. Do you not trust me to keep David safe, Deku asked. I do. But it's best to have more protection than less protection. In more that on way, Evelyn said. Point taken. And she did seem quite interested in meeting you, Deku said. Then we all win. Now you free for the evening, Evelyn asked. I was planning to exercise, but I can change my training routine, Deku said. Enjoy your evening of horny intercourse. Make sure to use protection, Penny said. You better stop talking like that or the millisecond you've been upgraded, I'll get Aiju to pound you into pieces, Evelyn said. I wouldn't mind that, Penny said. You naughty ginger. Now come on, Aiju. You've got a bunny to breed, Evelyn said. Can I finish eating, Deku asked. I got something for you to eat. My pussy, Evelyn said. Deku spat out his drink, getting Evelyn all wet. Oh my Izuku. Aren't you supposed to do that in bed, Penny asked. Not you too, Penny, Deku said. I can't wait until you are ready, Evelyn said. I am now finished eating all of a sudden, Deku said. Good choice, Evelyn said. Deku was currently in the laundry area of the school gym. He saw a girl with brown hair wearing a black hoodie, with the zip being below her boobs showing her cleavage, and blue jean shorts. Hey boy toy, what brings you here, the girl asked. Oh, it's you, Coco. Sorry, but seeing you go from your combat outfit to this, it's pretty jarring, Deku said. A girl is more than just her accessories. You should know something about that boy toy, Coco said. Heh, I guess so. So, why are you dressed like that, Deku asked. Kinda don't really have a choice. You forget about doing laundry because you're sulking over a loss. Unless you'd like to see me naked, Coco said. That's a trick question, isn't it, Deku said. Maybe. Still, I look good in this, don't I, Coco asked. So, why are you still sulking from your loss? I mean, we had that competition, Deku said. That was all well and good, but it wasn't really a rematch, you know. Maybe fight against Penny this time. Anyways, enough about that and answer my question. I do look good in this, don't I, Coco said. Yeah. Sometimes having less is more, Deku said. Guess I should wear this more often then. Since you like it so much. And girls need to change outfit every once in a while, anyway. I mean, hunter clothes are fine and all, but variety is the spice of life, Coco said. If you say so, Deku said. I do. Like, don't you think your partner, Jack, would look good in this kind of outfit, Coco asked. Ha, Deku said. Coco then showed Deku a picture of a maid outfit. Good luck trying to make her wear that, and she'll still kick ass in it, Deku said. Well, some hunters would dress in maid outfits to fit in and not be suspicious, Coco said. Still, I bet she would rather go out in her underwear than wear that, Deku said. Anyway, my laundry's done. If you ever want to discuss outfits, you may have seen or brought, drop me a call anytime, Coco said. Oh. Ha, sure. Let's exchange numbers, then, Deku said. Deku then returned to his dorm room. Having that talk with Coco made Deku notice that Penny had not been so excited in their victory during the exhibition match. Penny. Can I talk to you for a moment, Deku asked. You seem pensive. What's on your mind, Penny asked. Something on your mind, truth tell. Remember our 3-on-3 battle, Deku asked. Affirmative. It was a most glorious victory, Penny said. I think David would say otherwise. Anyway, I couldn't help but notice you were also somewhat disappointed afterwards, Deku asked. Well, I guess I couldn't mask my bereftness at a lack of challenge, Penny said. A lack of challenge, Deku asked. Fighting, like many others, is a skill that can be polished and refined. Practitioners are pushed to find more challenging endeavors in continuous self-betterment. As Professor Peach declared in her commentary, all members of Team CFVY are some of the most skilled second-year students of Beacon. Despite that, I found their show of battle prowess severely lacking, Penny said. Yeah. Coco really underestimated David, Deku said. And well, Velvet didn't think our match important enough to fight seriously, despite being on the losing side. She deemed it wasteful, Penny said. Seems like Yatsuhashi was the only one taking the battle seriously, Deku said. It appears so. I wish I could have fought Coco instead, Penny said. This gave Deku an idea. He would need to take with a certain fashion guru. Wednesday. Day 73. Ready, Deku asked. Yep, David said. I'm here, am I not, Evelyn said. The three of them then made their way into Vale. Hey. I think this is the first time we've been on a threesome date, Evelyn said. Don't say it like that. But it has been a while since we've been on a date at all, David said. But this isn't really much of a date, is it, Deku asked. What? You want to go back to Beacon immediately after, Evelyn asked. True enough, Deku said. Then let's finish with Madonna as soon as possible and then we can go somewhere else, David said. Huh. I just realized. There's 2 cafes near the market. Now, which one did Madonna mean, Deku asked. Good question. Well, let's check and ask if she's here. Elimination process, Evelyn said. Yeah, we still got a few minutes, anyway, David said. They then began to walk towards the first cafe. You're about to trespass. Step away, children, a voice said. Standing in front of them, blocking their path into the cafe, was a woman who looked like an older Weiss. Hey, what do you mean trespassing? This is a public place, isn't it, Evelyn asked. No. This is a private establishment, and it is currently fully booked for the rest of the day, the woman said. Fully booked for the rest of the day, Deku asked. Deku gave a glance in the direction of the cafe. But the woman stepped right in front of him. He could only confirm that there was only one person sitting at one table. And who exactly needs all of this space for himself for all this time, Deku asked. That is not for you to know, children, the woman said. For the love of... Why does everyone keep calling us that? We're 17 and 16. And my boobs are as big as yours, Evelyn said. What does that have to do with anything, the woman asked. I know, right? It makes as little sense as you occupying an entire cafe for the whole day, Evelyn said. That's quite enough. If you won't leave, I will remove, the woman said. And that is exactly why I told you it was a bad idea, Winter. All it took was one person not intimidated by your ice queen shtick, the man at the table said. Sir, I assure you everything is under control, Winter said. Not from where I'm sitting. Let the children come to me now that you've stirred their curiosity, the man said. Sir, I object, Winter said. And I objected to you emptying out an entire establishment just to get me a cup of tea. We're both getting disappointed today, the man said. Stay. Stay behind me at all times, Winter said. Sure, Deku said. I like this guy already, Evelyn said. Winter then took the three of them over to the man. Oh. Well, this is a surprise, the man said. The man was in an Atlas uniform, as shown by the symbol on his clothes. He had broad shoulders and an impressive physique despite his age. What's a surprise, Sir, Deku asked. Well, I could tell you, but that'd be boring in the long run, the man said. The long run, Evelyn asked. The long run. So I guess I'm not introducing myself to you yet. But I would have your names, to confirm my theory, the man said. I'm David Dik Begis, David said. Evelyn Damarot, Evelyn said. Ijuku Midori, Deku said. I see. I will see you later then, the man said. Later. But later when, David asked. All right, that's enough. Time for you to go, Winter said. Winter then escorted them out of the cafe. Did that seriously just happen, David asked. Even I am weird out. What was his deal, Evelyn asked. I'm sure we'll find out soon, Deku said. You know something, don't you, David asked. I don't know anything. I just have made an educated guess. But why spoil it, Deku asked. Enough about him. Let's just go meet Madonna, Evelyn said. Yeah. We've just wasted enough time, David said. The three then went to the other cafe near the market. You knew those children, Sir, Winter asked. I think they're a bit too grown up to be called children. Those teens are three of my daughter's teammates. Penny's descriptions were quite accurate. Although. The man said. What? What is it, Sir, Winter asked. The Faunus and the curly-haired boy, Evelyn and Ijuku. There's something about them that Penny overlooked. And it's even more concerning for the boy, the man said. The three then arrived at the second cafe and met Madonna. Hello, David. Ijuku. Evelyn, Madonna said. Hi, Madonna, David said. Hello again, Deku said. Hey, Mrs. Ark. You'll never believe the crazy encounter we've just had, Evelyn said. Crazier than our first meeting. But please, let's take a seat and tell Make about it, Madonna said. They then sat down and told Madonna about what happened. My, what a peculiar individual, Madonna said. I know, right, David said. Oh, enough about that ginger guy. Let's talk business. What do you want from me, men? Evelyn asked. Well, as you boys may remember from our last meeting, I'm a writer. I've just finished working on a very long series and my next project is going to be an anthology of short stories, Madonna said. Oh. Interesting. But I don't see how we could help with that, Deku asked. Nothing complicated. I'd just like to use your lives as inspiration, Madonna said. Excuse me, David said. My first series has been pretty much versed in fantasy, so for this anthology I'd like the characters and situations to hit closer to home, so to speak. And, my dears, I don't know what it is about you two, but the stories you told me about yourself have stirred my creative juices something fierce, Madonna said. I'm glad, Deku said. Wait, what exactly did you tell her? Evelyn asked. No details. Just the general idea, Deku said. That's more than enough for me. Look, Madonna said. Madonna presented a huge stack of papers. I wrote all of this yesterday. Your story about your relationship with Ichita inspired me so much that I couldn't put my pen down. I made 4 different versions, Madonna said. That's... You mean those are... about me? And Evelyn asked. The characters are inspired by the 3 of you, yes, Madonna said. Can I read? Evelyn asked. Sure, Madonna said. Evelyn. Anyway. So what you'd like us to do is... just tell you about our lives, David asked. And the people in it. I will of course reward you too handsomely, Madonna said. What kind of rewards? Deku asked. Money, to begin with. I am a affirmed author, after all. Also, I have a few connections that could make your lives as hunters quite easier, Madonna said. I see, Deku said. Deku considered the offer for a while. Deku then looked over to David and nodded. All right, you've got a deal, David said. Wonderful. We're going to make the greatest anthology of all time, Madonna said. Ijuku. David. We've got to try this, Evelyn said. Try what? Deku asked. Deku then read what Evelyn was reading. Oh. Deku said. Let's just say that I have a lot of experience writing these kind of scenes, Madonna said. I see, David said. And this? Evelyn said. Evelyn. Me and David agreed to wait until Penny was ready for that, Deku said. Moo. Then I guess there's no chance of this happening, Evelyn said. Not at the moment. I mean, you and Penny haven't, David said. Fair point. But as soon as we get back, both of you are doing the first thing with me, Evelyn said. That's fine, Deku said. Now, to give you some more inspiration, I'll tell you about the 24 hours that followed after me and Aiju had sex in the shower, Evelyn said. Evelyn, Deku shouted. I'm already interested, Madonna said. Evelyn then told Madonna about their arrangement and what followed. Deku had gone to the gym to talk with Coco. Velvet. What about my bub bun? Coco asked. It's about... Well, I've noticed that she didn't use her weapon at all during our match and I was wondering what was up with that, Deku said. Oh, that. Yeah. Par for the course, really, Coco said. You mean this isn't the first time this has happened? Deku asked. Not at all. Velvet has a one-track mind, really, always worrying about wasting her weapon on something. Have you ever played a role-playing game? Coco asked. No, but I understand what you mean. She doesn't want to waste her weapon in case she needs it for a bigger threat. But this just leads to her not using it at all. So her weapon has a charge of some kind, Deku said. It's not exactly a charge. She has multiple charges, but each of those charges is unique and can't be replaced as easily as loading some new bullets in a gun, Coco said. I see. I guess she has a good reason not to waste them, but she's too worried about wasting them, Deku said. Exactly, while it can't be replaced easily, they are not that hard to be replaced. And it makes no sense for Velvet to not her weapon she needs to because she thinks she may need it more in the future. Keeping your best options for when a more difficult time may present itself is good, but restraining yourself too much may make an otherwise easier task a pain in the ass, Coco said. So? You need balance, I guess, Deku said. Ah, you're starting to get it. Indeed, it's not something that can be micromanaged by a leader on the field, especially since all of her charges are unique, Coco said. But Velvet has a tendency to be conservative, Deku said. Too conservative. I never, ever managed to get it through her skull. She won't use her weapon at all unless I command her to, Coco said. Hey, Coco. What about a rematch, Deku asked. Ah. What do you mean, a rematch, Coco asked. As I said. A rematch. Only this time you fight Penny and Velvet fights David. This will make you and Penny stop mulling over the fight, Deku said. Penny's upset about how the fight went, Coco asked. Yeah, she found fight Velvet a waste of her time, like how Velvet thought it a waste to use her weapon on her. So fighting you should make things better, Deku said. You know what, sure. Fighting Penny sounds fun, Coco said. Guess we should ask the others if they're up for it, Deku said. Are you sure you will be able to convince David to fight? I know he doesn't like to fight, Coco said. Don't worry. I'm sure I can get him to fight, Deku said. The two then called their respective teammates about having a rematch. Okay. Penny and David are up for it, Deku said. So is Yatsuhashi. I haven't been able to talk to Velvet. She must have her scroll off, Coco said. You could always ask her later, Deku said. True, but I know where she is, Coco said. Really? Where is she then, Deku asked. She's actually in your room. She said she was going to see Evelyn for something, I don't know what for though, Coco said. Well then I guess we should go there and ask her, Deku said. Lead the way, Coco said. Deku and Coco then went to Team Jade's dorm room. Hey Evelyn, is Velvet here, Deku asked as he opened the door. Deku then saw that Velvet was in a state of undress. Deku and Velvet stared at each other for a few moments. Wah, Velvet screamed. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, Deku shouted. Deku, why are you here, Evelyn asked. Coco told me Velvet was here, and we needed to ask her something, Deku said. Coco. You're here too, Velvet asked. Yo, Coco said. Well, I think that question can wait, Evelyn said. Agreed, Deku said as he quick left the room and slammed the door shut. Liked what you saw, Coco asked. Huh, Deku said. I know you have a thing for rabbit faunus. So what do you think of Velvet? I know she doesn't have the assets Evelyn has, but you're not the type that cares much about those things, Coco said. Well, that is true, but why are you asking this, Deku asked. Calm down. I'm only messing with you. Maybe, Coco said. Coco then pinned Deku to the wall. So tell me. What did you think of seeing Velvet like that, Coco asked. Well. It's not the first time I've seen her in an embarrassing state, Deku said. Oh really? Tell me more, Coco said, closing the distance between them, her boobs pressing against his chest. Deku then told Coco about the pictures he'd taken of Velvet. Soon Elin and Velvet came out of the room, after Velvet had put on her clothes. I can't stress how sorry I am, Deku said. Izuku, it's alright. You've been apologizing non-stop. I understand it was an accident. And this isn't the first time someone has walked in on me, Velvet said. Really, Deku asked. David walked in on me when me and Evelyn started collaborating, so it's not a big deal, Velvet said. Still, it happened again. Not to self, put a don't enter sign on the door next time, Evelyn said. I guess so, but still go practice for when I, Velvet said, spotting before she revealed anything to Coco. What was that, Coco asked. Oh, it's nothing. Anyways, we should go, Velvet said. Okay, see you later, Evelyn said. See you around, you two, Deku said. See you soon. So, mind telling me why you were with Evelyn? Coco asked as they walked away. I'm so glad I didn't cause her to hate me, Deku said. Give her some credit, I do. She's your senior. If nothing else, she's certainly more mature than you, Evelyn said. Her underwear defiantly says that, Deku said. I know. You have no idea how hard it was not to comment on it when I first saw it, Evelyn said. Do you think she wears black on purpose? Deku asked. I'm 100% certain she does now. Not really something you'd think she'd wear at first. I think her wanting to change her battle outfit is only the tip of the iceberg, Evelyn said. So she came to you about her clothing issue? Deku said. Yep, Evelyn said. Mind telling me how's that going? Deku asked. Maybe later, but first, Evelyn said. Evelyn then ripped her shirt open, tearing the buttons off, but showed Deku she was wearing a black bra like velvet. How does it look on me? Evelyn asked. I have so many words I could use, Deku said. Then keep it to the best one, Evelyn said. Fuckable, Deku said. Deku then picked Evelyn up and slammed his lips into hers. They then burst into their room and spent the evening making their bed creak and letting out moans of passion. Thursday. Day 74. Great news. Our field trip has been approved, my cute little students, Peach said. That is great news indeed, David said. And now you can tell us where you're taking us, right? Evelyn asked. Oh, where would be the fun in that? Peach asked. Oh, come on, Evelyn said. As a teacher, it's my duty to preserve the childlike wonder of discovery as much as possible. But I can tell you that the name of the place is Peak, Peach said. I don't have any knowledge of such a place, Penny said. And why is it called Peak? Jack asked. Because it was built very high on top of a mountain range, Peach said. Pretty self-explanatory then, Deku said. Sounds like a weak reason to name a place, Jack said. Well, we do live in a kingdom called Vale. I guess Valerian cartographers don't have that much imagination. It is in Vale, right? David asked. Just on the border of the civilized part of the kingdom. Be up nice and early on Sunday, students, and be sure to get plenty of sleep and food. You will need all your strength. Now why don't you four go ahead and get some lunch while I inform Mr. Midoriya of how my chat with Glinda went, Peach said. The others nodded and then left for the mess hall. So, how did it go? Deku asked. Like this, Peach said. Peach then began to recount her chat with Glinda. How could you not think that you should have asked him if it was okay to tell Ironwood? You know what he's like, Peach asked. I know. I thought about it, but Midoriya is, Glinda said. What is Midoriya? Peach asked. I don't think I should say what he is, Glinda said. Well, at least you are learning from your mistakes, Peach said. What should I do, Violet? Glinda asked. Well, since his secret was told to someone without his consent, and I doubt Ozpin would even apologize. Why don't you tell him a secret that you have? Peach said. I don't think I have any one secret that could even compare to his, Glinda said. Oh, I have one thing that comes to mind. Your time as a student of Beacon, Peach said. Absolutely not. I am his teacher. I should not be, Glinda said. You shouldn't be telling anyone secrets without asking, Peach said. I'll think about it, Glinda said. And that's about it. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you what I said to her in the beginning, Peach said. Yeah. Again, thank you for having that talk with her. It's nice to know there's a teacher at this school that really cares about their students, Deku said. It's nothing at all. Now go get some lunch before the mess hall is empty, Peach said. Yes, Professor Peach. Have a nice evening, Deku said. Deku then left Peach's classroom. After having lunch, Team Jadi were heading back to their room. Nothing at all. For real? Evelyn asked. Yeah. There's nothing in my database or on the network about any settlement or facility called Peak, Penny said. Well, while it may be easier for you to gather information, it's still information that someone has to have recorded and made available, Deku said. True, Penny said. I guess that if you can't find it, it's information that doesn't exist. Or that you can't access, Jack said. Precisely so. The world's best librarian is still limited by her keychain, a voice said. Winter and the man Deku met yesterday had walked up to them. You have very sharp friends, Penny, the man said. The old man Evelyn asked. Wait, this is the person that occupied that cafe, Jack asked. No. That was Winter, the man said. Sir, please. I've already apologized, Winter said. It's a pleasure to meet you again, Mr. Deku said. Papa. You've arrived, Penny said. Penny then hugged her dad. Papa. Penny, this person is your father, Jack asked. Enrico Polendina, at your service, Enrico said. Also hello, Miss Winter. Long time no see, Penny said. Penny, Winter said. So that's why you didn't want to introduce yourself, David said. I had some meetings to attend to yesterday before coming to Beacon, and I didn't want to spoil Penny's surprise. And thanks for keeping my identity a secret, Ijuku Midoriya, Enrico said. No problem. Seeing Penny like this is adorable, Deku said. Penny blushed from embarrassment. I'm so happy to see you, Papa. You have no idea how much I've missed you. And a lot of things happened. Oh. I got your message, and I've activated Sensor, Penny said. Yes, I know, Enrico said. You know. How? I thought the signal didn't reach that far, Penny said. Well, Enrico said. Yesterday, Enrico met up with General Ironwood in Ozpin's office. The time we got there, whoever she had been fighting was gone. Her body was damaged, so the training excuse doesn't hold water, Ironwood said. I see, Enrico said. Enrico, how do we fix this, Ironwood asked. I beg your pardon, James, Enrico asked. Gee. How did this happen? How can we get it back under control, Ironwood asked. Oh, now I get it. You're looking at this from painfully wrong assumptions, James, Enrico said. Wrong assumptions? Gods, you even sound like her, Ironwood said. Being that I'm the father, it should be the other way around, Enrico said. Enrico, Ironwood said. James. The problem here is that you're assuming that Penny was under your control to begin with. She was only ever to monitor, Enrico said. Sir. What are you saying, Winter asked. You may recall from that paper I signed that allowed Penny into the Atlas military as a cadet, not as a weapon. As a person, James. Not as an object. And a person has no kill switch, Enrico said. You're telling me. You built a weapon that's one sentence away from ending all life on Remnant and gave I the mind of a teenager, Ironwood asked. No, James. I gave my daughter a body and your military the blueprint for the perfect soldier. It was all in the project brief, too, Enrico said. Let's just say I met Ironwood yesterday. But of course, I don't know the details, Enrico said. Plenty of time to share, now, David said. Yeah. Let's go to our room, then Jack said. I shall wait outside, Winter said. You're not coming in, Miss Winter, Penny asked. I'm just your father's escort, Penny. I still answer directly to General Ironwood, Winter said. Oh. I see, Penny said. Everyone minus Winter then entered Team Jade's room and began to tell Enrico about everything. Magic. It boggles the mind, Enrico said. I didn't sense any hints of lying in her voice, father. And all the data I collected confirms the theory, Penny said. Well, we've barely scratched Remnant's secrets. Why should magic be but one of them, Enrico asked. Just science we don't understand yet. Right, Father, Penny asked. And speaking of which, I was wondering something, Penny, Deku asked. About what, Izuku? Penny asked. You've nominated this Senzafili many times, so far. But what is it exactly? Deku asked. I was wondering about that, as well. Is it like a special move? Evelyn asked. Well, Penny said. I guess we do owe you an explanation about that. I've used you to relay information about its time limit to Penny, after all, Enrico said. A time limit? Is it your semblance, Penny? David asked. No, but it's tied to it. I don't know where to start, exactly, Penny said. You can tell us everything, Penny. You know that, no, Jack said. That's not what I meant, Jack. It's just complicated. Maybe you can answer, Father, Penny said. Sure. Let me start by asking you a question of my own. What's the difference between a human brain and a digital brain? Enrico asked. Are you sure he can make it less complicated, partner? Evelyn asked. A human brain and a digital brain. Like an artificial intelligence, right? Jack asked. A digital brain does not have emotions, Deku said. Very well. Izuku. That's the basics of it. Not only does a digital brain not have emotions, but it doesn't need them, Enrico said. It doesn't need them. Wait, of course. A digital brain with emotions. That'd just be a human brain, Jack said. Exactly. Emotions cause lapses in judgment, they affect our thinking and actions. We created digital brains to be free of those and other limitations, to only think their assigned task and nothing else. Even without taking aura into account, Penny should be stronger, more durable, faster, a quicker thinker and more nimble than any human being. And yet she isn't, because of her human side, which sets a limit on her potential just like a human brain does, Enrico said. So, Senzafili removes that limiter? David asked. Senzafili is a software that forcefully isolates the human side of Penny's personality, leaving behind her digital nature only. It activates by giving herself a single task, which Penny will then follow through to completion using all the means at her disposal. Afterwards she goes back to normal, Enrico said. And what's that time limit thing about? Evelyn asked. That's the maximum amount of time Penny should stay under the influence of Senzafili's second stage, Enrico said. A second? Wait, you mean that when you wiped the floor with my sister? Jack said. That was Senzafili's first stage. We could call it a half-power setting. Like a hairdryer, Penny said. The silliest hairdryer, David said. So, what happens if she stays in the second stage more than 3 minutes? Evelyn asked. I don't know. For obvious reasons, we never tried it, Penny said. I can only hypothesize. But it would be bad. Which is why Penny should use Senzafili as little as possible, its second stage only in cases of extreme danger, and never, ever go over the 3 minutes time limit. I trust you will make it so that she won't ever have to go to such extremes, Enrico said. You can leave Penny to us, Deku said. We take care of each other, Sir, Jack said. And I'm proof of that, David said. No way I'm letting my cute partner harm herself, Evelyn said. I'm not that cute, Penny said. Winter Weiss shouted. Oh. Hello, Weiss, Winter said. Hello, Weiss. Sister, what are you doing in Beacon? Weiss asked. Oh, right. Winter's younger sister is attending Beacon as well. Maybe you should go make sure the poor lass doesn't embarrass herself, Enrico said. Enrico said. Or that the Atlas guards around campus don't come running thinking it's Penny again, David said. Be right back, Jack said. Jack, David, Deku and Evelyn then went to head outside their room. Miss Damarot. Mr. Midoriya. A word if you please, Enrico said. A word with me and Aiju, Evelyn asked. What is it, Father? Penny asked. I just wanted to confirm something, ever since I saw the double irises and triple in your eyes respectively, Enrico said. You know something about the weird circles in my eyes, Deku asked. Have you too, by chance, been subject to aura splicing in the past? Enrico asked. Aura splicing? Penny asked. What does that even mean? I don't speak science, Evelyn said. Oh, I'm sorry. It is after all a term I coined myself. What I mean is, has your aura ever been altered by something or someone in the past? Enrico said. You can tell? Evelyn asked. So my theory is correct, Enrico said. I'm kinda lost here, Deku said. Father, what are you saying? Penny asked. There have been other cases like yours in the past, Miss Damarot. They've been my subject of study in the process that brought about Penny's creation. And each and every one of my test subjects sported similar eyes, with double irises, Enrico said. But what? Evelyn said. You're the first one I've seen alive. And Izuku is the first case of triple irises, Enrico said. Evelyn then got up and close with Enrico. Evelyn, Penny said. You're going to tell me all you know. And you're going to tell me now? Evelyn said. There's no need for threats, Miss Damarot. I wasn't going to withhold any information from you, Enrico said. I'm sorry, Evelyn said. Think nothing of it. I can understand why it would upset you. After all, no Atlesian subjects were found in less than groups of 2, Enrico said. Evelyn then began to cry. She then began to explain how she got the double irises in her eyes. A while later she had finished explaining the circumstances that led to her double irises. After all these years. And you're saying it's always the same one? Evelyn asked. There have never been any other recorded specimens. So far though, we've always just got sightings of it hanging around the places of the incidents after they happened. But your story confirms its direct involvement, and this opens up a kind of scenario that's unheard of in history, Enrico said. Starting with how it can possibly move around Remnant like that, Evelyn said. And the reason why, Penny said. Jack and David then returned. Crisis resolved, Jack said. We won't have an Atlas SWAT team bursting in any time soon, David said. Good to know. I should probably go back in a few minutes just in case, though, Enrico said. Yeah. No time like the present, right? Evelyn asked. Indeed. Before I go, though. Izuku, when did you get triple irises? Enrico asked. Triple what now? David asked. Izuku has a similar condition to his eyes as Evelyn's, Penny said. Huh. When did that happen? Jack asked. I don't know. I just noticed it one day. I know for certain though I didn't have them before meeting you lot, Deku said. How did we not notice this? David said. Sounds like an author forgot this piece of information and then had to insert it in for the plot, Evelyn said. That's very specific. Anyway, I also know that it's not exactly the same as Evelyn's as I can still see color, Deku said. I see. Can you think of any time when your aura was manipulated? Enrico asked. The only time I can think of is when David unlocked his semblance, Deku said. But David's semblance didn't cause us to have the same conditions, Penny said. How very strange. Why does it seem to have only affected your aura? If anything, you should all have same condition, except Penny of course, if your auras were all manipulated and connected, Enrico said. Deku came to a theory on why this had happened to him. What does it take for someone to have aura? Deku asked. You should know this, Izuku. All a person needs to have aura is a soul. Even babies can have aura, even with their small souls, Penny said. What about a fractured soul? Deku said. Well, in theory yes. But it's never been possible. Why are you asking this? Enrico asked. Because I think I know why this has happened now, Deku said. Really? How do you think it happened? Evelyn asked. It has something to do with the secret I told Ozpin and Glinda, Deku said. You don't have to tell us, Izuku. We know it's a very private matter, Penny said. Thanks for your concern, Penny, but I think I should tell you everything. I've been here long enough, and you've shared your own personal stories, so now's my time, Deku said. Would you like me to leave? Enrico asked. No. You're Penny's father, and you know all about David now, so I don't see any reason to keep you from the truth, Deku said. Deku then breathed in and out. Izuku, are you sure? Jack asked. Yes. I'm just thinking about where to start, Deku said. Just say it in a short, sweet sentence. Can't be any weirder than being born from magic, David said. I'm not from Remnant, Deku said. What? The others shouted. Are you an alien? Did it fuck an alien? Evelyn asked. No. Well, at least I don't think so, Deku said. What do you mean? Jack asked. Well, the basics of it is that I was engulfed in an orange light, and then I was in Vale. I don't know if I've traveled across the universe or have actually traveled dimensions. But I don't think there's other life forms on a different planet that are basically identical, so I'm more leaning towards universe hopping, Deku said. I must say this is more interesting than anything I've been told so far, Enrico said. Wait, is that why your semblance doesn't seem to follow the rules of a semblance? Every semblance out there drains the user's aura, no matter what, Penny said. Well, the thing is, I don't have a semblance. What you see is what my world calls quirks, Deku said. Quirks? David asked. It's basically a genetic superhero power that humans have developed, Deku said. So, it's like the Shini's hereditary semblance, Evelyn said. Exactly. When a child of two people with quirks, the child is likely to have one or a combination of both, though in rare cases the child can develop a completely different quirk, unrelated to either parent, Deku said. Fascinating, Enrico said. Hold on, you said you have quirks. Does that mean superpower and black whip? Penny asked. Yes. They are two separate and basically unrelated quirks. Except for that fact that they are part of One for All, Deku said. One for All? Jack asked. It's the true name of my quirk. Instead of being a quirk from my parents, it's a quirk I received from my master, and his master before him. One for All is passed down like a torch, with each use fanning the flame and increasing its power. That's why it breaks my body if I go past my limit. Also, as OD recently, I've started to gain the powers of the past users. And one of the past users' quirk was Black Whip, Deku said. Cool. So what new quirks are you going to get? Evelyn asked. That's for another time, I think. We'll be here for hours if I continue on, Deku said. Or Evelyn said. I agree, but I need on last thing, Enrico said. What is it? David asked. Yes, a cup should suffice, Enrico said. A cup of what? David asked. A cup of blood, Penny said. A cup of blood? Jack asked. I asked Father to conduct some analysis on your body, David. I think discovering more about your body could help us in unraveling the mysteries around your origin, Penny said. I understand that, but a cup of blood? David asked. I have a long list of tests in mind for it, my boy. Also now, I would also like a cup of blood from you, Izuku. I would like to have a look at how aura and quirks interact, Enrico said. Sure, Deku said. Actually, I should probably take samples from you too as well, Enrico said. Me and Evelyn? Jack asked. I'd like to keep my blood in its original container, thank you very much, Evelyn said. I won't be able to test for similarities or differences between them without it. Need I remind you that we've never seen a semblance able to share aura before, Enrico said. I guess that makes sense, David said. I hate needles, Jack said. Please be gentle, Evelyn asked. The four then proceeded to have their blood drawn, though the size of the cups were much bigger than they had expected, and Deku had 2 cups of blood drawn. After having his blood drawn, Deku felt very anemic and decided to rest the rest of the day. Friday. Day 75. Deku wasn't feeling that much better the next day, but he still went to class, despite Penny's persistent that he doesn't. Deku held out till the end of class. "Now will you go back to resting?" Penny asked. "Yes, I will, Penny. You don't need to worry," Deku said. "You rested for the rest of the day yesterday." "I'd say there's a big need to worry," Evelyn said. "Yeah. Having that much blood drawn is not good for you," Jack said. "All right. I get it. I'll go rest," Deku said. Deku then began to leave the classroom when he began to fall. Penny was able to catch him. "Okay. You need more than rest, you need a blood transfusion." "I'm calling Papa," Penny said. "Okay, Penny," Deku said. Penny then put Deku on her back and took her to Enrico. Penny quickly arrived at the lab ship and put Deku in a cot, and Enrico hooked up a blood transfusion. "I'm sorry I caused this, Izuku," Enrico apologized. "Papa, you should have known that you withdrew too much blood," Penny said. "I know. I'm sorry for nearly killing your boyfriend, my dear," Enrico said. "It's okay, Papa, I know you were just very excited to find out more about Izuku's existence, as am I," Penny said. "Well, since we are on the topic of Izuku, let me show you what I've found," Enrico said. Enrico then walked over to his computer. "I've noticed that Izuku has a set of extra genes that is not present in any of your other teammates," Enrico said. "Those must be the genes that are part of quirks," Penny said. "That is my theory as well," Enrico said. "Well, I can confirm that they are," Deku said. "Izuku. No, you should rest," Penny said. "I'm not that debilitated, Penny. I can answer a few questions," Deku said. "If so, would you please tell us more about these genes?" Enrico said. "Well, there's not much to say. They are the genes that house the genetic material that allows us to use our quirks and allow our quirks to be passed to our children and allowed them to mix and combine," Deku said. "I don't exactly know what I was expecting," Enrico said. "Oh yeah, these quirk genes can be blocked from expressing, thus disabling the user's quirk. My homeroom teacher had this power," Deku said. "That a very useful semblance." "I mean quirk," Penny said. "Could you please give me some examples of other quirks?" Enrico asked. "Sure. First of all, there are 3 types of quirks. First is emitter, which is any quirk that the user emits, like shooting fire from your hands. The second type is transformation, which changes the user's body but only for a short time, like turning your skin hard-on into iron. Finally, there's mutation, which is any quirk that permanently changes the user's body. Evelyn's ears are a great example of this, though the quirk can change the user's body drastically, so far that they don't even look human anymore," Deku said. "So, your quirk. Or should I say quirks are emitters?" Enrico asked. "Yep," Deku said. "Izuku, may I ask what quirk you were born with?" Penny asked. "Oh, well. I wasn't born with a quirk," Deku said. "You weren't born with a quirk?" Penny asked. "Yes. I was one of the 20% of the population that doesn't have a quirk," Deku said. "Did your parents have quirks?" Enrico asked. "Yes. My mother could pull small objects towards her, and my father could breathe fire," Deku said. "So how come you didn't develop a quirk?" Penny asked. "I don't know," Deku said. "Well, no point in dwelling on it. There are some things about genetic we still don't know. Now I'll leave you to rest," Enrico said. "Sure. I'm gonna take a nap," Deku said. Deku then closed his eyes and went to sleep. "So what are you going to do?" Enrico asked. "I think I'll stay and wait for Izuku to wake up," Penny said. "Okay. I'm going to continue my research," Enrico said. "Have fun, Papa," Penny said. Enrico then returned to his work. Penny then looked at Deku and then climbed into bed with him. She pulled the covers over them and rested her head on his chest and closed her eyes. Enrico looked back to see the two sleeping and smiled. "They grow up so fast," Enrico said. A few hours later Deku had full recovered and woken up. "Good evening Izuku. How are you feeling?" Enrico asked. "I feel much better," Deku said. "That's good to hear," Enrico said. Penny then woke up. "Evening," Penny said. "Had a nice nap?" Enrico asked. "Yes Papa. Izuku made an excellent pillow," Penny said. Enrico chuckled. "I think you two should get going," Enrico said. "All right," Deku said. Deku and Penny then got out of the cot and began to leave. "Oh, before you leave, I have one thing I need to test," Izuku, Enrico said. "Okay. What is it?" Deku asked. "I've been thinking about your aura. Since your aura has been spliced between 3 souls, so far. I want to know if you have 3 different auras," Enrico said. "I see. Well, I can tell you that I haven't felt any new auras, but then again, I don't know what have different auras feels like," Deku said. "Maybe they are dormant," Penny said. "That could be possible. The vestiges of the past users do have their own personality. So maybe they have aura, but it hasn't been unlocked," Deku said. "That's a valid reason. Penny, would you please help Izuku in potentially unlocking his other auras?" Enrico said. "Affirmative, Papa," Penny said. Penny then placed her hands on Deku's chest and cheek. The two closed their eyes, and Penny searched deep into Deku to see if she can unlock the past users' auras. Penny then found 2 souls that had dormant aura and used her aura to jumpstart them. Deku's body was then covered in his own green aura, and then parts of his aura started to turn white and red. "Fascinating," Enrico said. "Wow," Deku said. "Izuku. You've made history," Penny said. "Your aura pool has increased significantly. You have way more aura than anyone your age has ever had," Enrico said. "I guess I won't be breaking any of my bones anytime soon," Deku said. "But Papa, I can feel that Izuku's aura is off. It feels like there's 3 auras in one," Penny said. "Isn't that a given though?" Deku asked. "Yes, but it means that anyone with an affinity for aura sensing, they would be able to tell that you have 3 auras, and that's bad," Penny said. "I see. So what should I do?" Deku said. The best thing for you to do is to suppress your aura." "Okay. So how do I do that?" Deku asked. "I'll show you," Penny said. "Thanks Penny," Deku said. Penny then taught Deku how to suppress his aura so that no one could find out that he had more auras. Afterwards Deku and Penny then began to left the lab ship. "So, do you think I'll develop multiple semblances?" Deku asked. "While it may be possible, the other auras you have don't feel full. They feel like a fragment of the whole thing. So I believe you'll only develop the one. And I can't wait to see what it is," Penny said. "I'm sure I'll unlock it when the time comes," Deku said. Penny and Deku then exited the lab ship and headed back to the dormitory. There was something nagging Deku in the back of his mind. So he brought Penny out onto the balcony. "What does it feel like?" Deku asked. "What exactly are you referring to, Izuku? And why did you abscond with me to the balcony?" Penny asked. "Well, just in case it's a private matter, I didn't," Deku said. What I meant is that the balcony isn't exactly soundproof. Evelyn, Jack and David can still hear everything from the inside," Penny said. "Oh, fine. I just wanted to ask what. I mean, when you activated Senza Fili. Did it hurt?" Deku asked. "Oh," Penny said. "I mean, passing over the thought of seeing you without the human parts of your personality being a terrifying thought. With the way your father described it, I was wondering if it was actually harmful," Deku said. "It's really sweet of you to worry about me like so, Izuku," Penny said. "Would have been sweeter if it was immediate. It was just so sudden, and you seemed none for the worse," so Deku said. "Just so. While I have no way of predicting what going into the second phase of Senza Fili would entail for me, phase 1 is. Well, it's like sleeping," Penny said. Sleeping, Deku asked. Yes. When I use Sensor I'm not actually aware of the passage of time between its activation and its release. And while my sensors never stop recording, the memories I make during that time don't really feel mine or genuine, Penny said. Like a dream, Deku asked. Or a split personality. I know we spoke about aspects of my personality, but it's less like sides and pieces and more like tears. My machine aspects stay in my subconscious, only subtly influencing my motor and speech patterns, Penny said. I see. Well, if it doesn't hurt, then I guess it's fine, Deku said. I just forcefully alter the priorities in my personality tiers. But what do you mean with fine, Penny asked. There was a lot going on, for sure, but you had to fight Filler alone, so Deku said. There's nothing for you to feel guilty about, Izuku, Penny said. Yeah. Tell that to my subconscious, Deku said. Does this work, Penny asked. How, Deku said. Penny then put her lips to Deku's and they began to make out. Get a room, Evelyn yelled. You're in it, Deku yelled. Saturday, day 76. Deku, Penny, David and Evelyn were going to go on a triple date with Pyrrha and Jaun. But before they could meet them, they had to get Evelyn out of bed. Come on, best bunny. We got to help a redhead bag herself a blonde, remember, David said. I hate you, Evelyn said. Come on, Evelyn, up you get, Deku said. Deku then used Black Whip to pull Evelyn out of bed. Pyrrha and Jaun were waiting at the bullhead landing. So, thanks for coming with us, Jaun, Pyrrha said. Oh, think nothing of it. A day out on the town sounds fun. Even if, Jaun said, starting to mumble at the end. What was that, Pyrrha asked. Oh, nothing. Hey, there's David, Evelyn, Izuku and Penny, Jaun said. Good morning, guys, David said. Salutations, Penny said. Hello, Deku said. No, Evelyn said. Hello there, Pyrrha said. Is something wrong with Evelyn, Jaun asked. No, she's just not a morning person and usually takes advantage of Saturdays to sleep in, Deku said. Top Bunny is still sleepy. She will have a nap on the bullhead, Evelyn said. Yeah. Now say hi and let's go, David said. Fine. Hi, guys, good morning. Now let's find a double seat. I will not be suffered to lay my head on a window, Mr. Evelyn said. Yeah. Let's see if we can't find 6 seats near each other, guys, David said. The 4 members of Team Jade then boarded the bullhead. Evelyn and Penny are pretty cute, Jaun said. Yeah. And they are very lucky, Pyrrha said. Yeah, I guess they are, Jaun said. Jaun and Pyrrha then entered the bullhead. The 6 of them were now in the market. What are we looking for, again, Jaun asked. Ingredients for a cake. We have a habit to try and make new recipes in our kitchen, and this time it's me and Evelyn's turn, Deku said. Sounds delicious. Hope I can have a slice, Jaun said. Well, maybe if you can grab more stuff than us, Evelyn said. Well, why don't we make a competition out of it, Pyrrha asked. A competition, Jaun asked. Oh, good idea, Penny said. I see. We can split the list and see who finishes first, David said. Oh, I see. And whoever wins gets the biggest portion of the resulting pie. I mean, unless it's coconut-based. It's not coconut-based, is it? I'm so allergic, Jaun said. So how should we make the teams, Deku asked. Me with Jaun, Pyrrha quickly responded. I mean, if you don't mind, Pyrrha said. Sure. Guess it's couples teams, David said. Once we finished, we gather at the entrance of the market, Deku asked. Sure. And whoever wins gets the biggest portion of the resulting pie, Jaun said. Let the games begin, then Evelyn said. Evelyn. We still have to split the list, Penny said. The list was then split evenly between them, and they then split off to get the ingredients. Though instead of doing that, the four members of Team Jadi locked around and met up with each other and then began to watch over Jan and Pyrrha. Do you see them? How is it going? David asked. You've got the high ground here, Evelyn said. But you're turned in their direction, David said. There's people in the way, Mr. Evelyn said. Deku then picked up and put her on his shoulders. There, can you see now? Deku asked. Yeah, Evelyn said. Penny then looked at David. Penny, I'm not picking you up. I'm not as strong as Deku, David said. You don't have to dance around the fact I'm heavy. I can make them out in the crowds anyway, Penny said. Mind telling me what's happening? I don't have the height, a strong boyfriend to lift me up, or robot eyes, Deku said. Okay. It actually looks good. They are standing pretty close to each other, and they seem to be having fun, David said. What do you think this is, a shipping forum? They are partners and best friends, that's par for the course, Evelyn said. Good point. Are they doing anything that could unmistakably be seen as pro, Deku said. Oh, Penny said. What? What happened? Deku asked. The docking has been initiated, Penny said. The docking happened? Deku asked. The docking happened, Evelyn said. Just as we planned. Go Pyrrha, Deku said. Well, actually, it wasn't exactly as planned, David said. The one who initiated the docking wasn't Pyrrha. It was Jan, Evelyn said. Maybe he's not that dense, after all, Deku said. Maybe, Penny said. They then lost Jan and Pyrrha after the docking and so went to get the other ingredients. They then arrived at the market entrance and wait for Jan and Pyrrha. They waited, and waited, and waited, but they still hadn't arrived. It's sure been a while, huh? Evelyn asked. Yeah, Deku said. Even for an unforeseen need of intimate docking of the lips, this is ridiculous, Penny said. Yeah. I mean, either they brought the love train to a hotel or something happened, David said. Pyrrha would have at least sent us a message. Maybe typed in a hurry with mangled grammar of excitement, Evelyn said. Oh damn it, I hope things didn't go south. Where could they? Deku said. Guys. Sorry for the wait, Jan said. Jan. We were starting to worry, David said. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just, me and Pyrrha had a talk, then I realized we hadn't finished the list. I did it as fast as I could. Anyway, you win. Biggest slice is Team Jadi's after all, Jan said. Yeah, horary us. But where's Pyrrha? Deku asked. Left her in the cafe over there nursing her second parfait, Jan said. Nursing her, David said. Girls and ice cream. Oh noes. Jan, what happened? Evelyn said. Something that needed to happen. But we'll deal with it and be stronger for it. That's what teammates do. Ijuku, David, you two should probably talk to her so we can just put this behind us, Jan said. Ha. Us. What do you mean? Deku asked. Hey. You two are great guys, but seriously. You can be so dense, Jan said. Jan then left. Did that just happen? David asked. I have so many questions, Evelyn said. I suggest we should inquire with Pyrrha on what happened, Penny said. The four then headed toward the cafe. Pyrrha. Honey. Are you alright? Evelyn asked. Pyrrha took a long slurp of her parfait. Okay, yeah, that was a dumb question, Evelyn said. Would you mind telling us what transpired? Deku asked. Pyrrha took a long loud slurp of her parfait. After you finish eating. Of course, Deku said. Pyrrha took a small slurp of her parfait. Pyrrha then finished her parfait and then told them what happened. You cannot be serious, Deku and David shouted. How do you think I felt? Pyrrha asked. I'm absolutely not amused by this reveal in any way whatsoever, Evelyn said. He thinks you invited him out so you could make us jealous, David asked. Yup. Because even though that's painfully the case as exemplified by our own team, a girl spending time with someone of the opposite sex means she wants to jump his unmentionables, Pyrrha said. I don't think it's that simple. I mean, John may be sense but he's not that moronic, Penny said. Then why? Pyrrha asked. Pyrrha, other than John and Ren, have you spent time with any other guys in Beacon before meeting Izuku and David? Penny asked. Well, no, but Pyrrha said. And considering that John thinks that you think of him as a friend, and same goes for Ren, he probably thinks, wait a minute, if Pyrrha suddenly want to hang out with a guy maybe, Penny said. But we're all a thing, Deku said. That's not exactly a point against the theory, honey, Evelyn said. Oh my gods, you three are adorable, Evelyn said. Stop that, David said. This is hopeless, Pyrrha said. Pyrrha, don't say that, Deku said. No, I mean, I'm hopeless. You four have been nothing but great to me, but as Evelyn said, this is way too roundabout to work. John is a very simple person. He's straightforward and honest to a fault. That's one of the things I like about him, but it doesn't lend itself well to love subterfuges, does it? The only way for him to know that I like him is for me to straight out tell him so. And who knows when I will ever get the courage to do that, Pyrrha said. They then returned to Beacon. Thanks for your help. And sorry for being a bother, Pyrrha said. Pyrrha, you're not a bother, Deku said. And don't act like you're giving up. No one likes a quitter, Evelyn said. Heh. Thanks. And I'm not quitting. But until I find the courage to cat on my feelings, I guess I'll just go back to how things were before, Pyrrha said. Pyrrha then headed for the dormitory. Is there really nothing more we can do? Penny asked. Other than going behind her back and tell John? No, and I think there's a reason why Ren and Nora haven't done so before, Evelyn said. End of chapter 24.